Hello, I'm Andrew Safner with asafnerproductions. Welcome to Safner and Cross Unfiltered, where we tackle politics, sports, travel, fitness, and investing, all with a side of unfiltered opinions. Welcome to Safner and Cross Unfiltered, where we dive deep into some of the most controversial, complex, and often unsettling stories of our time. In today's episode, we're going to explore one of the darkest and most disturbing cases of our 21st century, the Jeffrey Epstein files. Jeffrey Epstein was a financier, a convicted sex offender, and a center of a massive web of allegations that have rocketed the world's politics, business, and entertainment. His name has become synonymous with secrecy, power, and corruption. And the truth behind his network of influence remains elusive as ever. Epstein's mysterious wealth, his high-profile connections, and the tragic stories of his victims have made the case a focal point of public scrutiny. And many questions still remain unanswered. How did Epstein build his empire? Who enabled him? And most importantly, who were the people that were in power that protect him for so long? In this episode, we'll sift through the layers of the Epstein scandal, from his initial arrest and controversial death to the shocking revelations from the court documents, survivors, and investigators. We'll discuss the key players of a systematic failures and fight for justice, all while navigating murky waters of conspiracy theories, politics, and truth. Stay with us as we uncover the mystery of the Epstein files and take a hard look at the ongoing fallout from his international scandal. Let's get started with our first guest ever, Bob Stanger. Bob, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, to start off, I'm in my late 60s without revealing too much. And one would hope at this point in one's life that you've gathered enough wisdom. But as more of a background, I went to Westminster College, where I got my master's degree in English and German. German's my second language. Westminster at the time was a top 100 liberal arts school. I later went on to get my master's degree in education and also worked on a PhD, got halfway through 2 different doctorates, although I've never quite finished. The last 15 years of my life, I spent traveling around Asia. I've been to probably at least a half a dozen Asian countries, dozens and dozens of cities in Asia, like, Beijing, Bangkok, Hong Kong, Singapore. So pretty extensive travel in Asia. I've done a lot of traveling throughout Europe also. So I'm a pretty extensive world traveling. I would think that in my experience as a world traveler and as sort of a student of history and politics, I think I have a little bit of background knowledge and some pretty good insights into some of the things we'll be talking about in this podcast.
So, Bob, how did Jeffrey Epstein amass such a vast fortune, and was it legitimate?
That's a good question. I think it's important to start off with the fact that Jeffrey Epstein actually was not a billionaire himself. I believe I've heard on several newscasts.
$600 million.
Yeah, they call him a billionaire, but he's worth about $600 million, which, of course, is filthy rich.
Yeah, half a billionaire.
Yeah, half a billionaire, but wasn't actually a billionaire himself. However, he would make claims that he was the financial advisor for billionaires. It turns out this was probably true. He started off at Bear Stearns. He was a financial consultant for them. He must have done pretty well there. When he left Bear Stearns, he started his own companies. And his first client was a billionaire. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he was the guy that owned Victoria's Secrets and a bunch of other clothing outlets. So he's a multi-billionaire. Right. He paid Epstein a considerable amount of money, maybe even as much as $200 million over the time that Epstein was working for him. In addition, he had a second billionaire client who also paid him tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. So I would probably say his first $200-300 million probably was legitimate.
Yeah. Allegedly, Leon Black gave him hundreds of millions to almost $200 million for estate planning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Billionaire needs that much money
No,
spent on estate
he was
planning.
he was very well paid, so that's a little strange.
Definitely
but
questionable.
I guess if he was good enough and
Yeah.
he made the guys some money or saved them some money in taxes, he might have been actually worth that.
Definitely.
So, but it appears it was the first couple $100 million at least was legit.
So who do you think key figures were in his social circle? And what influences do you think they had?
Well, there's no doubt the key influence was his girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine was the daughter of Robert Maxwell, who was a media tycoon on the same level as Rupert Murdoch. In fact, I think they were competitors with each other. So she came from a very wealthy family, and long before she met Epstein, she was moving around in these very high circles, high society. She was already very well connected. As a matter of fact, I believe Prince Andrews was a friend of hers. I mean, that's how Epstein met Prince Andrews, through her. So it's not hard to see that once he made this connection with her, what happened? Well, I think it should be mentioned that what happened. The father died of mysterious circumstances.
Right.
He died on his yacht. Now, no one knows exactly how this happened. He could have committed suicide, some say. He could have slipped and it was an accident, or he might have been murdered. All right, some people believe he was been murdered. But the thing is that after his death, his estate ran into some financial troubles. Turns out he might have been embezzling money, those kinds of things.
Yeah, he was embezzling millions through people's pension
right.
funds.
So Ghislaine was in danger, if not it already happened, of losing this opportunity to live that kind of lifestyle that she had grown used to. So when she met Epstein, this is a guy who offered her the opportunity to continue that lifestyle. But what she could do for him was to introduce him to people like Prince Andrew. And again, these people who run in these elite circles, they all go to the same party, they all know each other. It's not hard to imagine somebody with Epstein's charisma, his salesmanship, his ability to network, that pretty soon he would be hanging out and rubbing elbows with people like Bill Clinton and Bill Gates and those types.
So you're bringing up Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew. What role did high-profile individuals like Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, Trump play in Epstein's role?
Okay. Well, I've never traveled in billionaire circles, but from what I understand, there's a lot of name dropping that goes on. You're at a party and you throw out the fact that, oh yeah, I was having lunch with Prince Andrew last week on his yacht.
Yeah,
those kind of things. Yeah. So it's they're like moths attracted to a flame.
Yep.
Somebody like Prince Andrew, that's going to draw the next person and the next person. It's probably with someone of Epstein's ability. It was probably like taking candy from a baby. Developing and building that network in those kinds of circles.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up Bill Clinton because he had a picture of Bill Clinton in his house in a blue dress. The fact that you have one of the presidents of the United States in a dress.
You have to feel very comfortable.
Yeah.
You have to be very comfortable
weird.
with
No
people
offense,
at that kind of
you
level.
were pretty close, but if you ever had a painting of me in a dress, I'd probably burn it and hope you didn't spend millions on it.
Well, you got to think the minds of these people. They like tickling kids.
Yeah.
So, they're probably into some weird shit with a bunch of money.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you know what? Well, I think we're going to talk about the next stage of when he was doing the pedophile thing and all that kind of stuff. Again, don't move in billionaire circles, but these people have the money to do anything that can be done.
Oh, no doubt.
You go to Antarctica. You want to do a space shot with Jeff Bezos, whatever it is. I would imagine it's pretty easy to get bored.
Yeah.
So I could see.
They want things money can't buy.
They want things money can't buy. I could see how somebody with sort of those kind of proclivities, who's lived his life with no limits, sure. If you have those kind of proclivities, that would certainly be something that you would look for.
I'm sure.
Epstein saw an opportunity to provide it. And maybe we're talking about the rest of his fortune. Maybe that's how he
blackmailing and stuff too.
So there have been rumors and conspiracy theories suggesting that Epstein may have ties with Mossad, Israel's intelligence agency. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, this belief is sort of based on two separate arguments that people have made over the years. Number one is that Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, was a Mossad asset. And there was a particular gentleman from Israeli intelligence. I don't remember what his name was, but he's the one who came out and said that he was in fact. Now, to my knowledge, this has not been collaborated by anybody else, and he has never produced physical evidence to this effect. However, it was widely believed, and if you're a conspiracy theorist, you probably believe that Maxwell was killed by Mossad on the yacht because he was about to, face some financial difficulties because of seems as his embezzlement. He actually embezzled.
A billionaire falls off a boat.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So those kind of people tend to talk, right, when they're faced with this kind of problem. So that's one of it. And of course, they believe that his daughter knew about that, and she also had those same connections.
Yeah, Margaret Thatcher too.
Yep.
Yeah, but what I think is the most credible thing that happened was when Epstein was caught in Florida. I think it was somewhere around 2007, for soliciting underage. 2005 for soliciting underage girls. He was given a very sweet deal by the then Attorney General of Florida. He was sentenced to something like 18 months, but in reality, half the day he was able to go out and wander around and do whatever his work was. He only came back to the prison to sleep. Okay, so every day he was getting out of prison. All right. So interestingly enough, that same Attorney General later on, 2000, I guess would have been 2016, somewhere around there, was nominated for a cabinet position in the Trump cabinet. Now, as everybody knows, if you're nominated for a cabinet position, you just don't automatically get the job, right? You have to go through scrutiny through Congress. Congress will ask you questions to try to figure out what your suitability is, and they will vote whether or not you're part of the cabinet. This guy was asked about that sweet deal that Epstein got. And his answer was, and of course this would have been under oath, right? His answer was Epstein had intelligence connections. Okay, so that's probably the most credible argument for the fact that he might have been working for somebody. Right? Now, the same guy later denied it, but if that's fact, he either lied under oath or he was lying later. If he lied under oath, he perjured himself, right? And you would imagine at that point in time, you're not going to want to perjure yourself. So I'd say that was probably the most solid evidence that he had some kind of connections. Now, the guy didn't necessarily say Mossad. He just said intelligence, right? He's connected to intelligence. So that's where that comes from.
Leaves it open to a lot of...
It leaves it open to a lot of interpretation. Could have been U.S., could have been who knows.
It's crazy because Epstein possessed an Australian passport with a Saudi Arabia address.
I watch enough spy movies that happens a lot, right?
Yeah.
So, if you're Jason Bourne, he had like eight different passports.
On your own plane. I've never flown in on my own plane or a private plane for that matter.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's like.
Turns out that plane, he bought it from that first billionaire.
Yeah, wasn't that like the Lolita Express or something?
Yeah, he actually got that from the first. Yeah. Who gave him a sweet deal on that too. So.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's crazy.
So we'll be getting a lot of sweet deals.
I got a lot of sweet deals, right?
So what's your take on like Trump and Epstein? There's a lot of people out there that think he's on that list, and there's a lot of conspiracy theories that they have that picture taken together. Well, and you can take a picture with anybody.
That's right. It's like I said, all these people, these billionaires or these elitists, they all run around in the same circles. Yeah. Trump certainly was running around rubbing elbows with the high society and stuff, especially when he was younger and things like that. The fact that Epstein would have been there and he might have got some pictures, that actually doesn't mean anything. But as far as I know, there's no evidence he was ever on the island or that Epstein ever procured any young women. And besides, look at Donald Trump. He's been married to 3 supermodels, and possibly he had a night with a porno star. Yeah. He does indeed, Epstein,
no, he
finding super attractive women for
Right,
it.
he
So
actually
I don't
He actually
buy it.
kicked Epstein away out of.
Oh yeah, and he kicked Epstein out of when he got caught out of Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, so
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think he was on.
No, I don't
I
believe
just don't
it.
see how someone that is that rich that got caught doing stuff with underage women and got a slap on the wrist is able to own an island somewhere in the Virgin Islands. or wherever it
I'm
was.
just sorry. Trump's always being shown with hot women.
Yeah.
Why would you have to do it? Now, if you take somebody like Bill Gates, who's kind of an ugly fuck, his wife, she might be the sweetest woman in the world. I don't know. Wasn't that hot?
I don't know.
I can see Bill Gates maybe needing,
Yeah. Bill Gates is definitely weird.
maybe
I mean,
Epstein
look at all
to
the stuff
get him.
he's got.
But
He
Trump,
he owns
I
so
don't
much
buy it.
farmland. He's not even a farmer,
Yeah,
and they don't farm it.
yeah.
And then doesn't he? He's a big person on bioengineered food too.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's
And
a whole
didn't he
that's a
vet Common Core
whole nother
Yeah,
podcast.
and he said he wants human population control.
Yeah.
I'm not buying any food from him.
No,
I'll
me
tell you
neither.
that right now.
All that bioengineered stuff.
He
yeah,
is
I'm
Pushing
good.
the
Bill
COVID
Gates
vaccine.
is
Yep.
not a good person.
No, I don't like any of the things he
He's not a
stands
good
for.
person.
I like Microsoft.
Yeah, me
Like
too. Mike, that's
Xbox.
about it. But even they have the
Yeah.
shittiest customer service.
Yeah.
Yep, they do.
No, you
I don't-
can't even get a 1-800 number. You can't even talk to a live person.
We play Call of Duty. How
Yeah.
bad?
I'm
how
an
often is
Apple
my
guy,
app
so I
fail?
don't know.
But yet we keep buying the damn thing every year. Like every 5 years it comes out.
It's about as bad as Black Ops
Mm.
6.
Yeah.
But anyways, so for the final question, what's your guys' final take on this? And the most important question: did Epstein kill himself?
Well, here's the thing. This is very, very strange, and I think this is certainly worth addressing. What do we know? We know that when before the election, you had Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and even Trump himself all promising that they're going to be transparent, they're going to bring the list out, all this kind of stuff. Now, and then a couple months later, they say now there's no list and he didn't kill himself. Now, full disclosure, I consider myself to be a MAGA person, right? I voted for Trump twice. Interestingly enough, I did not vote for him in 2016, but I certainly did vote for him the last two times, and I think I consider myself to be MAGA. Now, I don't assume that I speak for the whole MAGA base. However, I think I'm fairly typical of the usual MAGA voter. All right, I don't believe it. I don't buy it. I don't buy that there was no list. So, what does that mean? What does this tell us? It says whatever it is, because they have lost, and these are smart people.
They're smart people.
They're smart people. They knew the hit in credibility this was going to happen with their base. They knew this ahead of time, but they were willing to accept it because whatever the truth was so bad it would be worse than the hit they took from their MAGA base. They're scared of something.
Yep.
And
something big.
that scares me.
Yes.
That
It could be
scares
like a
me.
nuclear war or something.
Could be
Yeah.
something. Now, the only other possibilities is if you want to delve into conspiracy theory, so I'll go there. Let's say Mossad, turns out he was a Mossad asset. Could stuff that would come out that could greatly damage the credibility and the way Israel's standing in the world. Okay, we know that all four of these people, Bongino, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and Trump, are very, very huge supporters of Israel. Would they take that kind of hit to protect Israel? That's the question. In my opinion, yeah, they would. They would. So it's either that, okay, they're trying to protect Israel because it was a Mossad operation, or it is something so horrible they're willing to take this really damage to their credibility and their base. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
They're scared.
And Trump's taking the risk for half a MAGA, splitting and being upset.
Oh
because
yeah,
it's that
yeah.
big.
That's a huge hit, huge damage.
There's probably a lot of big names on there, and you can't, go tit for
Yeah,
tat.
whatever it is, it's going to be worse. In their mind, it's going to be worse than what they're experiencing right now.
Yeah.
Everybody, I think,
Definitely.
should be scared of that, unless it's the Israeli thing.
But at the end of the day, it's like one of those things. It's a mockery to the victims, not for it to come out.
Right.
No,
And that's
it's
why the
right.
people
That's why
victims are even-
that's why Mag is angry.
There needs to be justice.
Well,
for
that's
these
why even the
victims.
why
victims
Matt-
launched what was it? An investigation with the FBI. Like actually to put a lawsuit against the FBI over this.
All they're
because
doing,
they think they're hiding things.
yeah, all they're
pretend
doing,
they
and
definitely
again,
are,
they're
yes.
not dumb. They know this. All they're doing is postponing the inevitable.
Yeah. Well, did you see even J.P. Morgan almost paid like $300 million? That's settled out of court or something like that over this, over ties to the some form of Epstein, with the island and all that.
Yeah, I mean,
You don't pay a
financial
settlement if you're not
world
guilty.
financial crisis,
Yeah.
super doom, world super recession, or something. It has to be something very horrible for them to take this kind of hit with their base.
I think there's a lot of big leaders on that list. That's why.
Yeah.
And if
Could
you think
be.
about
I mean,
it,
could
it's all
be. It could
anybody
be.
that's.
But see, they would have known that ahead of time.
Yeah.
See, they would have known, or maybe it was worse than it. Maybe they knew
Yeah.
there were people like Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton and
Yeah.
blah 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 and Bill Gates and blah blah. But when they actually found who else was on
Yeah,
the
it's
list,
so compelling.
I
yeah.
mean,
Could it
they
be a
go, oh my
possibility?
God, it'll drive the world economy into the
Could it be a possibility that Trump might have even pushed for this, used it to help win his election? Saying that he would come out with this list, he would end the war in one
well,
day.
yeah.
Because a lot of people are out there asking those kind of questions.
Look, here's the thing. Trump is a salesperson. If you're a really good, every really good salesman I know is a bullshitter. Every single one is a bullshitter. He bullshits. He exaggerates. He does something when he says it's the greatest economy in the history of the United States. Well, you know what? That's kind of a subjective thing, really. So the question is, I mean, when he BS's, is that lying? Well, if you're the left, they go, liar. He lied. To anybody who's done any kind of business, that's just the way you do business. He exaggerates, and he BS's. And that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, but you know what? I really didn't get the sense that when he was saying that he was lying about it.
So, back to the Epstein tickling kids. What do you think happened to most of those kids? How are people coming out, or did they die, or what happened to all these people?
Well, some of them settled. The one that was with Prince Andrew's got $25 million for this. Oh. So there might be a fund out there where we're paying these young girls off. Would you be willing to take $10 million or $5 million to keep your mouth shut?
It's just crazy to me. Ghislaine Maxwell is the only person that's had any.
Well,
justice
yeah, right. Well, that's the thing.
So.
Either there's something there, or we have a woman that's doing time in prison for nothing.
Yep.
Right. You can't have it both ways. She can't be guilty of this, and at the same time, there is no list, and there's no prosecutions and things. It's got to be one or the other, so pick one.
Right. Well, it was a pleasure having you on, Bob. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Safner and Cross, baby.
Thanks for tuning in to Safner and Cross Unfiltered. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.